Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. I'm really glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe today felt long and heavy, full of small demands and lingering thoughts. Or maybe you're simply someone who enjoys drifting off to quiet ideas rather than counting sheep. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. There's nothing left to accomplish now. You can let the day gently loosen its grip, as if it's folding itself away, neat and finished. As you settle in, imagine gravity growing softer around you, not disappearing, just easing. Your body doesn't need to hold itself up so firmly anymore. Your thoughts don't need to stay in straight lines. They can wander, overlap, fade, or simply rest. Breathing slows. Muscles unclench. Even time seems less interested in moving forward. Tonight, you don't have to follow anything closely. You don't need to remember facts or stay awake to the end. You can just listen or half listen, or let the sound become part of the background as sleep slowly approaches. Tonight's journey is a quiet one. We're not chasing excitement or sharp discoveries. Instead, we're turning our attention to something gentle and ancient, something that has been here patiently long before us and will likely remain long after. Tonight, we're talking about mushrooms, not as something to study under bright lights or label in careful rows, but as quiet companions of the earth. Mushrooms live in the in-between spaces. They are not quite plants, not quite animals. They don't reach for the sun or move across the land. Instead, they grow slowly in shadows, beneath leaves, inside soil, and through fallen wood. Much of their lives happen out of sight, underground, where they weave delicate networks that connect forests, recycle old life, and make space for new beginnings. Mushrooms are patient teachers. They don't rush, and they don't announce themselves loudly. Often, they appear overnight as if by surprise, only to fade again just as quietly. They remind us that growth can be soft, that important work doesn't need attention, and that rest is not the opposite of living, but part of it. If you find comfort in this kind of quiet curiosity, you're always welcome to return here. And if it feels right, you can like or subscribe simply as a way of saying thank you for sharing this calm moment together. But there's no pressure at all. You don't owe this video anything. You don't even owe it your full attention. You can let these words wash over you like a slow tide, coming in and going out, whether you're awake to notice or not. As we begin, imagine gently narrowing your focus. Picture the wide world of your day fading into the background. Now, imagine a forest floor at night. The air is cool and still. Leaves rest where they've fallen. Beneath them, the soil is dark and alive. And there, quietly, a small mushroom begins to emerge, pushing softly upward, not in a hurry. The facts will come, one by one, slowly, like careful footsteps on moss, as you continue to drift toward rest. The mushroom you see above the ground is only a small hello from something much larger. What we casually call a mushroom is often just the visible fruiting body, the part that rises briefly into the air. Beneath it, hidden from sight, lives the main organism, a vast network called mycelium. This unseen body spreads quietly through soil and wood, working patiently without ever needing to be noticed. Like an iceberg, floating calmly on the surface of the sea, most of its mass remains below, steady and invisible. Or like stars hidden behind clouds, shining whether we look up or not. It's a gentle reminder that much of life's effort happens without applause, without witnesses, simply because it needs to happen. If you could slip beneath the soil and look closer, you might see that this hidden body is not small at all. Mycelium forms vast underground networks, sometimes stretching for miles. Fine threads branch and rebranch, weaving through the earth like living lace. These threads slip between roots and stones, connecting plants and trees in a quiet web. Some scientists compare it to a slow internet of the forest, carrying nutrients and signals without sound or speed. Beneath your feet, even now, there may be long conversations happening in total silence. There's comfort in imagining connection that doesn't require words, presence that doesn't demand attention. These networks have had a very long time to grow. Mushrooms are among the oldest life forms to live on land, appearing hundreds of millions of years ago. Long before forests had names, before flowers opened their first petals, fungi were already here. They've watched continents drift apart, felt climates cool and warm again, and endured changes far beyond human memory. Time, to them, moves like sediment settling slowly at the bottom of a lake. Thinking about this deep history can make today's worries feel lighter, smaller, less urgent. In the presence of such ancient patience, there is no need to rush. One reason mushrooms have lasted so long is the way they live. Unlike plants, they don't make their own food from sunlight. Mushrooms don't reach upward toward the sky. Instead, they absorb nutrients from their surroundings, slowly and gently. They sip from the world around them, soaking in what's available, waiting rather than competing. There's something soothing about this way of being. They don't hurry toward brightness. They trust that what they need will come in time through connection and proximity. Because of this, mushrooms play a quiet but essential role as recyclers of nature. They help break down fallen leaves, old wood, and other organic matter. What looks like decay on the surface is actually careful transformation. Soft rot becomes rich soil. Endings slowly turn into beginnings. The forest breathes out what it no longer needs, and mushrooms are there to receive it, to carry it forward. This process isn't loud or dramatic. It's steady, reassuring, and deeply restful, reminding us that nothing is truly wasted. And in returning nutrients to the soil, mushrooms support far more life than themselves. Many plants depend on mushrooms to thrive. Through gentle partnerships called mycorrhizal relationships, fungi and plant roots trade resources underground. Mushrooms offer minerals and water gathered from far-reaching networks, while plants share sugars made in sunlight. It's like a shared meal in the dark, roots holding hands beneath the earth. Cooperation blooms where no one can see it. Life, it turns out, often survives not through competition, but through quiet partnership, setting the stage for entire forests to grow together in calm balance. Forests are less like crowds and more like families. Through underground fungal networks, mushrooms can quietly influence entire forests, allowing nutrients and subtle chemical signals to move from tree to tree. When one tree has more than it needs, some of that abundance can travel through the mycelium to another that is struggling. Roots lie beneath the leaves, like fingers interlaced, sharing strength without ceremony. No one tree takes credit. No one asks for thanks. The forest breathes together, supported by connections that are never seen from above. It's a gentle reminder that care and community often work best when they are quiet, steady, and unseen. What's especially fascinating is that mushrooms manage all of this without brains or nervous systems. They respond to their surroundings through growth itself, slowly leaning toward nutrients, away from danger, adjusting as conditions change. Mushrooms decide without ever deciding. They listen without ears. Their awareness is patient and physical, like drifting toward warmth on a cold night. There's comfort in knowing that intelligence doesn't always rush or analyze. Sometimes it simply unfolds, trusting the path of least resistance, adapting one gentle step at a time. This sensitivity to the environment helps explain the incredible variety of shapes mushrooms take. Nature never settled on just one mushroom design. Some grow like shelves stacked against trees. Others branch like coral, rise as perfect umbrellas, or stretch into thin, thread-like forms. They resemble forest sculptures, quiet architecture shaped by moisture, light, and space. Variation here isn't loud or chaotic. It's calm and natural, reminding us that difference doesn't need justification. Many shapes can coexist peacefully, each suited to its own small corner of the world. Along with their forms, mushrooms wear a wide range of colors, each serving gentle purposes. Some hues help them blend into their surroundings. Others may signal to passing animals, and some simply reflect the chemistry of their environment. Soft reds glow like embers beneath leaves. Pale whites rest like moonlight on stone. Mushrooms wear their colors quietly. There's no need to interpret them fully. Beauty doesn't always ask to be understood. Sometimes it's enough just to notice, and then let it be. And then there are mushrooms that seem almost unreal. Some species naturally glow in the dark, producing a soft, greenish light through bioluminescence. In the deep night of the forest, they appear like earthbound stars, tiny constellations scattered at ground level. The forest has its own night lights. This glow isn't bright or demanding. It doesn't guide or warn. It simply exists, offering light without heat, presence without urgency, as if reminding the darkness that it's not empty. Eventually, all mushrooms return to the quiet work of reproduction. They release spores, tiny particles that drift through air and water, beginning new fungal lives elsewhere. These spores move like dust motes in sunlight or slow snowfall in still air. Mushroom futures float quietly on the breeze. Each breath you take might carry a beginning, though you'd never know it. There's peace in this letting go, in trusting that what's released will find its place without direction or control. A single mushroom can release an astonishing number of spores over its lifetime, sometimes billions of them. It happens without effort or awareness. Like invisible rain falling steadily into the world, there's no sense of urgency, no fear of running out, just quiet abundance, offered freely. More spores than stars you can see, drifting away without expectation. It's a calming thought, this generosity without pressure, a reminder that not all giving needs to be measured or noticed to matter. Once released, these spores can travel incredible distances. Wind and weather lift them high into the air, carrying them across landscapes, oceans, even continents. Some journeys happen without footsteps, without intention. A mushroom's reach can be planetary, though it never moves itself. There's something deeply soothing about this surrender to motion beyond control, trusting currents that are far larger than any single life. Because of this ability to travel and adapt, mushrooms thrive in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. They live in dry deserts, frozen tundra, deep caves, and even places touched by radiation. Where life seems impossible, mushrooms often wait. They endure without complaint, tucked quietly into cracks of the world. Their resilience isn't dramatic. It's soft, steady, and patient, showing that survival doesn't always require struggle, only persistence. Humans, too, have lived alongside mushrooms for a very long time. Long before cities, there were mushrooms. They were here as people gathered food, told stories, and learned the rhythms of the land. Ancient hands reached for them at dawn. Campfires burned nearby as fungi continued their slow work beneath the soil. Mushrooms watched us learn to walk upright, to build, to wonder. There's a sense of companionship in this shared history, life evolving side by side without needing to compete. It's no surprise, then, that mushrooms appear in myths and folklore around the world. Many cultures have associated them with mystery, magic, or hidden realms. Fairy rings, moonlit clearings, stories whispered to children before sleep. Some stories grow like mushrooms, sprouting where imagination meets the forest floor. These tales aren't meant to explain everything. They offer wonder instead, a soft human instinct to fill the quiet with meaning. One of the most visible signs of fungal life is the fairy ring itself, a circle of mushrooms marking the slow, even growth of mycelium beneath the ground. As the network expands outward year by year, it leaves a ring behind, like time drawn gently into grass. Some clocks don't tick, they grow. Time leaves rings, not numbers. It's a calming way to think about progress, not as a straight line, but as a widening circle, steady and unhurried, preparing us for a softer pause ahead. Imagine yourself lying gently on a forest floor at night. The ground beneath you is cool but welcoming, layered with leaves that smell faintly of earth and rain. Above you, branches stretch quietly, barely moving. The air feels still, as if the forest itself is resting. You don't need to focus on your breathing, only notice that it's there, moving slowly in and out on its own. Thoughts may wander, drift, or dissolve entirely, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to catch every word. You don't have to stay present. Somewhere nearby, Unseen but close, mushrooms continue their quiet work, growing softly as you rest. While you sleep, mushrooms may be rising. Some species can grow with surprising speed, emerging from the soil and reaching full size in just hours or days. What feels sudden is really the final moment of a long, hidden preparation. Underground, everything was already in place, waiting. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it happens quietly, overnight, like a dream that leaves traces by morning. There's comfort in knowing that progress doesn't require constant attention. Even rest can be a time of becoming. Mushrooms don't grow at random. Their appearance is often triggered by subtle signals in the environment. Moisture soaking into the ground, a shift in temperature, the gentle rhythm of seasons changing. Mushrooms wait for the right whisper. Rain tapping softly on soil can act like nature's alarm clock, letting them know conditions feel kind enough to rise. There's patience in this timing, a refusal to force what isn't ready. They remind us that waiting is not inactivity, but awareness. For many mushrooms, night is the preferred time to grow. Cooler temperatures and lingering moisture create ideal conditions after the sun has set. Moonlit soil, silent forests, stars overhead. Darkness can be a signal, not an ending. While much of the world sleeps, some life quietly wakes. For those listening at night, this feels especially gentle. You're not alone in being awake. Growth often happens in the dark, unseen and unobserved. When conditions become harsh, mushrooms know how to pause. Fungi can enter dormant states, slowing or stopping growth to conserve energy until the environment improves. Like resting seeds or folded blankets tucked away, they wait. Sometimes survival means waiting. Rest can be a strategy, not a failure. There's reassurance here for tired minds and bodies. Not everything needs to push forward. Sometimes holding still is the wisest choice. Some of these fungal networks endure for astonishing lengths of time. Certain mycelial organisms have persisted for thousands of years, quietly spreading beneath the same ground. Their lives are measured not in moments, but in millennia. Age can be quiet. The soil holds memories of their slow expansion, heartbeat steady and unhurried. Thinking about this deep continuity can make the present moment feel calmer, less fragile, more held. Because of this adaptability, mushrooms often survive environmental change better than many organisms. Rather than resisting, they adjust. They shift growth patterns, reroute networks, yield where needed. Like water flowing around stones, softness becomes strength. Mushrooms endure by yielding. It's not a lesson that needs instruction, only observation. Change doesn't always require force. Sometimes it asks for flexibility, patience, and trust in slow resilience. Mushrooms are made mostly of water, which gives them their soft, quiet presence in the world. They are rain that learned to stand, morning dew shaped briefly into umbrellas and stems. When you touch a mushroom, you're touching something closer to fog than to wood, something that holds water the way clouds do, gently and temporarily. This softness is part of their impermanence. They appear, swell with moisture, and then fade again, never clinging too tightly to form. There's something calming in that, a reminder that not everything needs to be solid to be real, and not everything needs to last to matter. Because of this, mushroom textures vary widely. Some feel brittle and dry, others velvety and smooth, still others firm but yielding, like bark softened by rain. Each mushroom has its own quiet feel. Texture tells a story without words, shaped by moisture, air, and time. You don't need to touch them to imagine it. Just knowing that such variety exists is enough. Like running your hand across different fabrics in a dim room, sensing rather than examining, letting the details remain gentle and unforced. Along with texture comes scent. Many mushrooms carry subtle, earthy smells that blend easily into their surroundings. They often smell of soil, damp wood, fallen leaves, or rain that has just passed. Mushrooms smell like places. They carry the forest's memory in a quiet way, like petrichor rising after a storm or the breath of earth at dawn. These scents don't demand attention. They linger softly, inviting the imagination to wander without waking the mind. Mushrooms also interact with the air itself. As they release spores, tiny particles enter the space around them, influencing air movement on a microscopic scale. Dust motes dancing in a shaft of light, invisible snowfall drifting slowly downward. The air around mushrooms is never completely still. Even stillness moves. It's a soothing paradox, the idea that calm and motion can exist together, each supporting the other without conflict. When many mushrooms grow together, this effect can become slightly more noticeable. Research suggests that large groups releasing spores may create tiny air currents, subtle enough to go unnoticed, yet present all the same. It's as if the forest exhales. Mushrooms may help the air stir itself, the ground breathing upward in slow, patient rhythms. Imagining this makes the planet feel gently alive, not hurried or loud, but quietly responsive. And often, mushrooms appear after rain. Moist conditions act like an invitation, encouraging hidden networks to send their fruiting bodies above ground. Rain writes the mushrooms into being. After storms, quiet life rises. The soil seems to open its eyes, responding to water with growth. This connection between rain and renewal is deeply comforting. After disruption, softness returns. After heaviness, something gentle always seems to follow. Mushrooms follow seasonal rhythms, responding to the slow turning of the year rather than to calendars or clocks. Different species emerge at different times, each with its own preferred moment. Some belong to spring, others to summer, many to autumn. Each season has its quiet guests. Nature keeps time not with numbers, but with moisture, temperature, and light. It's a reminder that time doesn't have to rush forward. It can move in circles, returning again and again to familiar points. Fall forests, in particular, are especially rich with mushrooms. Cooler air and lingering moisture create ideal conditions for fungal growth. Gold leaves scatter across the ground. Soft rot settles in, and amber light filters through thinning canopies. Autumn is mushroom season. The forest loosens its grip on summer, allowing decay to begin its gentle work. There's a sleepy nostalgia to this time, a sense that the year itself is exhaling away, preparing to rest. As leaves fall and plants die back, mushrooms help forests transition between seasons. They decompose organic matter, breaking down what has finished its cycle and returning nutrients to the soil. Someone must clean up after summer, and mushrooms do this work quietly, like stagehands resetting a scene. Change needs helpers. Without them, the forest would stall, cluttered with remnants of what once was. Instead, everything is slowly cleared, softened, and made ready for what comes next. Even winter doesn't stop all fungal life. Some mushrooms can survive freezing temperatures, tolerating frost and snow without disappearing entirely. Ice crystals form around them. Breath clouds the air, yet life persists. Cold and is not always an ending. Sometimes it's simply a pause, a quieter chapter. These mushrooms embody a calm resilience, enduring without resistance, waiting without fear. Much of this endurance is possible because underground mycelium is protected from extreme cold. Soil acts like a blanket, insulating delicate networks beneath the surface. The ground keeps secrets warm. Below, life waits, tucked in and sheltered, even while snow covers everything above. It's comforting to imagine this hidden warmth, knowing that beneath apparent stillness, continuity remains. When spring arrives, a different kind of mushroom growth begins. As soil thaws and moisture returns, certain species adapted to these conditions emerge. Spring doesn't belong only to flowers. Mushrooms wake gently too, appearing without fanfare. There's anticipation here, but no urgency. Just a quiet acknowledgement that cycles continue, that rest naturally gives way to renewal, preparing the way for the next slow breath of the story. Imagine yourself walking slowly through a forest just before dawn. The light is dim and blue, as if the world hasn't fully decided to wake yet. Sounds are softened here, footsteps muffled by moss, distant birds only half aware of morning. Colors blur gently at the edges, and thoughts drift like mist between trees, appearing and dissolving without effort. You don't need to hold on to anything you've heard. You don't need to remember where you are in the story. If sleep comes now, that's perfectly fine. The forest doesn't mind. The story will continue quietly on its own. And down at your feet, beneath leaves and soil, mushrooms wait patiently for the next season to arrive. Mushrooms live in the in-between. They are neither plants nor animals, but members of their own biological kingdom, quietly separate from the categories we often rely on. Not plant, not animal, just fungal. They don't photosynthesize, they don't move like animals, and they don't fit neatly into familiar boxes. There's something calming about that ambiguity. Mushrooms remind us that not everything needs to be clearly defined to belong. Some things exist most comfortably at the edges, in twilight spaces where labels soften and certainty loosens its grip. Part of what makes fungi so unique is their chemistry. Fungal cell walls are made of chitin, a substance that provides both strength and flexibility. It forms an invisible scaffolding, a kind of soft armor that supports growth without rigidity. Strength doesn't always feel hard. Mushrooms wear gentle armor, allowing them to bend, stretch, and adapt rather than resist. It's a quiet balance, holding structure and softness at the same time, much like breathing in and out. This flexibility allows mushrooms to change shape as they grow. Their forms respond dynamically to their surroundings, adjusting to obstacles, moisture, and space. Mushrooms grow by listening. Like water filling cracks in stone, they adapt without effort or force. Shape becomes a suggestion, not a rule. Watching this kind of growth, even in imagination, can feel reassuring. It shows that adapting doesn't require urgency. It happens naturally, one small adjustment at a time. Beneath the surface, fungal networks also show a kind of quiet intelligence. Experiments suggest that mycelium can slowly solve problems, finding efficient paths to nutrients through patient exploration. Thinking doesn't always need a brain. Some answers arrive slowly, discovered through wandering rather than planning. This kind of problem solving doesn't rush. It rests, explores, pauses, and continues, offering a gentle model for minds that are tired of forcing solutions. In subtle ways, mushrooms can even remember. Past conditions may influence how fungal networks respond in the future, shaping growth patterns based on previous experiences. The ground remembers. Echoes of what came before linger in the soil like habits formed over time. Experience leaves gentle marks, not sharp memories, but soft tendencies. It's a quiet parallel to human memory, comforting in its simplicity. Mushrooms also communicate with their environment through chemistry. They release and respond to chemical signals, sending messages without words. Invisible letters drift through soil and air, read only by those tuned to receive them. The forest writes in chemistry, quietly exchanging information without noise. It's a reminder that communication doesn't need volume to be meaningful. Some of the most important conversations happen softly, beneath awareness, carrying on as you rest. Humans have been cultivating mushrooms for centuries, long before modern science gave names to spores and mycelium. People learned to grow what already knew how to wait. In cool cellars, quiet caves, and shaded corners, mushrooms found spaces that felt familiar. Low lantern light flickered against stone walls, while fungi did what they had always done, slowly and without complaint. This wasn't a story of control, but of partnership. Humans offered shelter and patience, and mushrooms responded in their own time, growing gently where they felt at ease. Even today, many mushrooms grow best in dark, cool spaces. Basements, caves, shaded rooms far from windows. Not everything needs light to grow. For mushrooms, darkness can be nurturing, a kind of protection rather than absence. This idea feels comforting at night, when the world outside dims and rest becomes possible. Growth doesn't always belong to brightness. Sometimes it belongs to quiet. Growing mushrooms requires patience more than force. Timing matters. Environment matters. Waiting matters most of all. Mushrooms reward those who wait. Rushing rarely helps. The process resembles a slow clock, ticking without sound. There's reassurance in this kind of growth, where success comes not from effort, but from trust and attention, from allowing things to unfold naturally. When the time does come, mushrooms are often harvested gently. Hands move carefully through soil or straw, lifting rather than pulling, preserving what remains beneath. Some things ask to be taken softly. Gentleness sustains future growth, allowing the unseen network to continue its work. It's a quiet lesson in mindful interaction, in taking only what's ready. Across cultures, mushrooms have appeared at many tables. They travel through kitchens quietly, woven into traditional meals and shared dishes. Steaming bowls, simple preparations, familiar flavors passed down through generations. Food becomes comfort, continuity, and memory, connecting people to landscapes and seasons. Often, mushrooms carry deep, earthy flavors. Umami rich and grounding, they taste like the forest distilled into warmth. Mushrooms taste like the ground remembering rain. Flavor without sharpness, richness without noise. It's a sensory experience that settles rather than excites, anchoring attention gently before letting it drift again. Mushrooms can be dried and preserved for long periods, allowing their presence to stretch gently through time. Strung up in quiet kitchens or tucked into pantry shadows, they lose moisture but gain concentration. Time slows in dry air. Some flavors wait. Preservation here feels less like stopping and more like pausing, holding something carefully until it's needed again. When dried mushrooms meet water, they seem to return to life. Texture softens, aromas bloom, and familiar shapes reappear. Water wakes what waited. Nothing was lost, just paused. There's something deeply calming in this transformation, as if memory itself is stored within the fibers, ready to surface when conditions are right. Throughout history, mushrooms have also appeared in traditional wellness practices across many cultures. Prepared as teas, tinctures, or slow brews, they were valued quietly, without urgency or certainty. People have long trusted mushrooms quietly. Belief grows slowly, shaped by observation rather than claims. This history invites curiosity without demanding conclusions. That curiosity continues today. Scientists around the world still study mushrooms, exploring their roles in ecosystems, materials, and more. Laboratories glow softly at night, microscopes hovering like small moons over hidden worlds. Curiosity never stopped. The quiet still invites study. Science here feels less like conquest and more like listening. In recent years, mushrooms have been explored as sustainable materials. Mycelium-based substances can be grown into shapes for packaging, insulation, even building materials. Some materials grow instead of being built. The future may be soft, shaped patiently rather than forced into form. And when their purpose is finished, these materials naturally break down. Mycelium returns to soil, closing the circle. Nothing needs to last forever. Returning is natural. There's peace in this acceptance, in knowing that endings can be gentle and that rest is always part of the design, waiting quietly for the next soft interlude. Imagine yourself sinking gently into the ground, not falling, but settling, like a warm root finding its place in the soil. The earth feels steady and supportive, holding you without effort. Time no longer moves forward in a straight line. Instead, it circles slowly, like seasons returning, like breath moving in and out. You don't need to pay attention to the story anymore. It doesn't ask anything of you. It will keep flowing on its own, looping softly, whether you're awake or already drifting. Beneath you, mushrooms remain patient companions, resting quietly in the dark, exactly where they belong. Mushrooms can form gentle, symbiotic relationships with animals, built not on intention, but on quiet usefulness. Some animals help spread spores as they move through forests, while fungi, in return, support habitats that make life easier to sustain. Partnerships don't need contracts. Nature trades quietly. These exchanges happen without awareness on either side, yet they shape entire ecosystems. Cooperation unfolds naturally, without planning or praise, reminding us that balance often comes from simple coexistence. Insects, in particular, interact closely with mushrooms. Many feed on fungi, while others live among them, finding shelter in soft caps and shaded stems. Tiny footsteps move through miniature worlds hidden from view. Even mushrooms have visitors. There's something soothing about imagining this small-scale life humming quietly, each creature occupying its place without hurry, sharing space without conflict. Some animals may even use mushrooms as environmental signals. The presence of fungi can indicate moisture, healthy soil, or the right conditions for foraging. Mushrooms become natural signposts, quiet markers scattered across the landscape. The forest leaves notes for those who notice. Reading the world slowly, through signs rather than sounds, encourages patience and attention without urgency. Birds and other animals also help mushrooms travel in unintended ways. Spores cling lightly to fur or feathers, hitching rides across fields and forests. Some travelers never know they're carrying futures. Movement spreads life, gently and accidentally, trusting paths that don't need maps. There's peace in this kind of journey, guided by chance rather than destination. Humans, too, spread mushroom spores without knowing it. Spores stick to shoes, clothing, and tools, carried along paths and sidewalks. Every walk is a quiet planting. We carry forests unknowingly, participating in cycles far larger than ourselves. It's a gentle reminder that we belong to these systems, even when we aren't paying attention. Because of this adaptability, mushrooms grow even in cities. They appear in parks, along sidewalks, in abandoned lots, and between cracks in concrete. Even concrete leaves room for life. Cities breathe too, though softly. Fungi persist without noise, offering comfort in coexistence, showing that nature doesn't end where buildings begin. Urban mushrooms often grow in forgotten places, in alleyway shadows, behind buildings, along quiet backlots where moisture gathers and leaves are left to rest. Fungi appear without announcement. Life waits where attention fades. These corners, overlooked and uncelebrated, are rarely empty. Mushrooms reclaim pauses in the city, reminding us that neglect does not mean lifelessness. Even where human focus drifts away, quiet processes continue, patient and alive, filling gaps with gentle persistence. Because fungi feed on organic matter, mushrooms can grow on unusual materials. Wood, paper, cardboard, fabric, anything rich in cellulose can become home. Time eats gently. Mushrooms read books by dissolving them, unraveling fibers slowly and without drama. This isn't destruction, so much as transformation, a soft reminder of impermanence without anxiety. Everything returns, eventually, to simpler forms. Some mushrooms are even studied for their ability to break down pollutants. Certain fungi can decompose toxins in soil, oil, or waste, acting as quiet cleaners beneath the surface. The planet has repair tools. Some cleanup happens underground, without noise or urgency. It's a calm kind of hope, one that doesn't promise instant solutions, only steady healing over time. Healthy soil often contains diverse fungal life. Beneath the surface, fungi help create structure, holding particles together while moving nutrients where they're needed. Good soil is alive. The ground is busy resting. Layers form like dark cake crumbs, rich and supportive. Stillness here is not absence, but balance, an unseen activity that sustains everything above. Mushrooms also play a role in Earth's carbon cycle. As fungi decompose organic matter, they help store and release carbon, guiding it through soil and air. The Earth exhales slowly. Carbon moves like a lullaby, drifting through long rhythms rather than sharp changes. It's a planetary breath, steady and deep. Because of their adaptability, fungi may help ecosystems adjust to change. Their flexible networks respond to shifting conditions, offering support where it's needed. Change needs quiet helpers. Adaptation doesn't shout. It moves softly, like roots finding new paths, holding systems together during uncertain times. Mushrooms often appear overnight, as if placed gently by the dark. Morning sometimes brings surprises. What looks sudden is the result of long preparation below the surface. The night prepares gifts, turning hidden effort into visible form. There's mystery here, but no suspense. Just the quiet reveal of something that was already becoming. Because of this, mushrooms change how we notice time. Their quick appearance draws attention to the slow work beneath. Fast moments come from slow work. Time has layers, like deep water disturbed only at the surface. Watching mushrooms reminds us that patience underlies even the most sudden changes. Many mushrooms are easy to overlook. Their small size and muted colors help them blend into surroundings, hiding among leaves and bark. Not everything wants to be seen. Some beauty hides, content to exist without recognition. This quiet presence offers reassurance that value doesn't depend on visibility. Once you learn to spot mushrooms, forests begin to look different. Awareness reveals abundance that was always there. Once you see them, they're everywhere. Attention awakens worlds. It's not about searching harder. just noticing more gently, allowing details to emerge on their own. Mushroom hunting naturally encourages slow movement, careful steps, bent knees, pauses to look closer. Speed hides details, slowness reveals. Foraging becomes less about collecting and more about being present, moving with the land rather than across it. Over time, observing mushrooms can foster a deeper sense of care. Attention softens the gaze. Quiet respect grows for systems that work without praise. Care grows from noticing. Attention is a form of kindness, extended not only to nature, but to oneself, as the world slows enough to feel safe again. Imagine yourself floating just above the forest floor, as if sleep has lifted you a few inches into the air. You're not moving anywhere. You're simply hovering, weightless and safe. Sounds feel distant now, softened at the edges, like they're passing through layers of moss before reaching you. Words arrive more slowly, stretching out, unhurried. Nothing new is being asked of you. Nothing needs to be followed or understood. The world continues its gentle work, whether we're watching it or not. And slowly, easily, you begin to settle back down, returning to the earth, where the final thoughts are already waiting, patient and calm. Mushrooms often grow in quiet clusters rather than alone. Small groups gather close together, sharing space without conversation or competition. Even quiet lives gather. Company doesn't require noise. These clusters feel like silent meetings, brief and gentle, offering comfort through proximity alone. There's reassurance in this togetherness, a sense that solitude and connection can exist side by side without pressure. The way mushrooms space themselves often reflects the hidden networks beneath the soil. What appears above ground mirrors the shape of mycelium spreading below. Patterns reveal what's hidden. The surface tells a story, written softly in circles and arcs. Like constellations on the ground, these arrangements invite noticing without analysis. Meaning can exist without explanation. Repetition is common in fungal growth. Mushrooms often return to the same spots year after year, appearing where conditions remain kind. Some places remember, life revisits what works. There's comfort in this familiarity, in knowing that not everything needs to change to remain alive. Returning can be just as meaningful as moving on. Because of this persistence, certain mushroom sites can remain active for decades. Beneath the surface, mycelium continues its quiet presence, even when nothing is visible above. Some lives don't move. Staying is also a choice. This stability isn't stagnation. It's patience, rooted and steady, holding space through time. Mushrooms balance stillness and change in a gentle way. Underground networks remain stable while fruiting bodies come and go. Stillness supports motion. Change rests on calm. Like roots beneath moving water, the foundation stays quiet while the surface shifts. It's a grounding paradox, one that feels deeply restful to consider. When mushrooms fade, the network often remains. The visible form disappears, but the life beneath continues. Endings aren't always endings. What matters often stays hidden. This offers gentle comfort about impermanence. Things can change without being lost. Paths remain, even when footprints fade, carrying the story forward into quiet continuity. Mushrooms rarely compete aggressively with one another. Instead of fighting for the same space, fungi tend to coexist by occupying slightly different niches, each finding what it needs without pushing others aside. Not all survival is struggle. Some lives make room. Unspoken boundaries form naturally, allowing many organisms to live close together without conflict. It's a calming alternative to the idea that life must always be loud or combative to continue. Because of this, many different mushroom species can share the same area. Forest floors and fields often host a quiet diversity, layered gently rather than crowded harshly. Crowded doesn't mean chaotic. Diversity can be quiet. Like many stories whispered at once, these species overlap without drowning each other out, creating harmony without uniformity. Each mushroom species fills a specific ecological role. Some specialize in breaking down wood, others leaves, others different kinds of organic matter. Everyone has a job. Purpose doesn't need praise. These quiet workers use specialized tools shaped by evolution, doing their part without recognition, yet contributing steadily to the whole. Mushrooms are especially efficient at recycling nutrients. They reclaim what others cannot, ensuring very little is wasted. The forest wastes little. Crumbs are gathered, fragments reused. Efficiency here feels soft and satisfying, like careful tidying rather than strict control. Without fungi, forests would struggle to function. Nutrient cycles would stall, soil would thin, and growth would slow. What holds things up is often unseen. Support rarely asks for thanks. Fungi act as silent beams beneath the structure of ecosystems, carrying weight without being noticed. On a larger scale, much of Earth's life depends on fungal activity. Networks stretch across continents, influencing ecosystems everywhere. The world rests on threads. Life is stitched together, gently and globally, inspiring awe without intensity. Mushrooms help shape the very soil beneath us. Through their growth and decay, fungi affect texture, fertility, and structure. Soil is made, not found. The ground is crafted slowly, kneaded like dough, by countless small actions over long periods. This quiet craftsmanship forms the foundation of nearly all land life. Over time, mushrooms also influence entire landscapes. Long-term decomposition reshapes forests and fields, softening edges and guiding growth. Change doesn't always roar. Landscapes listen, responding gradually to the steady work beneath the surface. Transformation here is slow, almost imperceptible, yet powerful. Long ago, fungi helped life move on to land. Early plants relied on fungal partners to survive outside water. Life needed help leaving the water. The shore was prepared gently, with soft landings rather than dramatic leaps. These origins unfolded without spectacle, guided by cooperation. Fungi have also survived multiple mass extinctions. While many forms of life disappeared, fungi persisted, waiting quietly in the shadows. They waited out chaos. Endurance can be invisible. Their continuity offers comfort, a sense that life carries on even through profound change. Because of this resilience, mushrooms will likely continue long after humans. Cities may empty, forests may return, and fungi will remain. Some lives outlast stories. The earth continues, calmly and patiently, beyond individual chapters. In the end, mushrooms remind us that life is often quiet. They exist like background music, a soft hum beneath everything else. Not all life seeks attention. Quiet counts, and with that gentle reminder, the journey begins to slow toward rest. Mushrooms often go unnoticed, even though they are everywhere. They surround us daily, beneath our feet, along paths, in parks, forests, and cities, yet they rarely ask for attention. Like background stars hidden by daylight, or quiet neighbors we pass each morning, their presence doesn't announce itself. The most important things are often overlooked. Presence doesn't require attention. There's something deeply calming in this idea that being unseen does not mean being unimportant. Much of what sustains the world works quietly, content to exist without recognition. When you begin to notice mushrooms, it can change how you move through the world. Awareness encourages softer footsteps, slower pauses, and wider vision. Attention reshapes the world. Slowing down reveals more. You start to look closer, not searching aggressively, just allowing details to appear. It's a kind of mindfulness without instruction, a gentle shift that happens naturally when curiosity replaces hurry. Mushrooms invite a sense of quiet wonder. Their forms, habits, and sudden appearances inspire curiosity that soothes rather than excites. Small miracles rest close to the ground. Hidden lanterns glow briefly and fade again. Wonder doesn't need volume. Mystery can whisper. This kind of wonder feels safe, like a question you don't need to answer, only enjoy. Studying mushrooms often inspires humility. The more we learn, the clearer it becomes how much remains unseen. Beneath every step lies a vast library underground, full of stories written in threads and spores. There's more beneath the surface. Knowledge has roots, and there's comfort in not knowing everything, in letting complexity exist without needing to grasp it fully. Mushrooms also highlight how interconnected life truly is. Their networks physically link plants, soil, and ecosystems, weaving relationships together. Nothing lives alone. Life is woven, stitched gently into a shared fabric. This interconnectedness offers a sense of belonging, reminding us that we are part of something larger, even when we feel small. Thinking about mushrooms can feel grounding. Their slow, earthy nature draws attention downward toward weight settling and feet resting on soil. The ground remembers you. Calm has roots. In this quiet focus, the body softens, and rest feels closer, natural, and deserved. Mushrooms teach us that growth doesn't have to be loud. Fungal life thrives without urgency, without announcements or applause. Silent dawns unfold, leaves open slowly, and progress happens without pressure. Quiet growth still counts. Soft progress is real. There's a gentle release in this idea, an easing of expectations that invites rest instead of effort. They also show that waiting is part of living. Dormancy, pauses, and long stretches of stillness are essential to fungal life. Winter sleep, held breaths beneath frozen ground. Waiting is not wasted. Rest is a chapter, not a failure. In this rhythm, patience becomes purposeful and stillness gains meaning. Mushrooms embody nature's endless cycles. Growth leads to decay. Decay feeds renewal, and the circle continues without needing an ending. Circles are drawn quietly in soil. Endings feed beginnings. Nothing truly stops. This continuity feels soothing, like a familiar melody looping softly in the background, reminding us that change doesn't erase what came before. In the end, mushrooms offer a quiet way to understand the world. Observing them provides insight without urgency, lessons whispered from the ground rather than spoken aloud. The earth teaches softly. Understanding can be gentle. With this calm realization, the journey of facts comes to rest, opening into a peaceful goodbye. As this journey slowly comes to a close, you can let the last pieces settle wherever they land. We've wandered gently through forests and soil, through time measured in seasons and centuries, through quiet networks beneath our feet that never ask to be seen. There's nothing to hold on to now, nothing to remember or organize. If you've been listening closely, that was enough. And if you drifted in and out, that was perfect too. You might imagine the mushrooms continuing their slow work beneath the earth as night deepens. Threads stretching patiently through soil, spores resting, networks breathing in their own quiet rhythm. They don't hurry. They don't pause for an audience. They simply continue, steady and calm, holding the world together in some unseen ways. Let your body feel heavy now, supported by whatever surface you're resting on. Gravity can take over completely. Muscles soften. Thoughts loosen their grip. The day doesn't need anything more from you. The night is here to carry the rest. If sleep hasn't arrived yet, it's on its way. And if it already has, these words can fade without worry. The story doesn't mind being unfinished. It doesn't need closure. It only needed to offer a space where rest felt welcome. Thank you for sharing this quiet time. You're always welcome to return another night, whenever you feel like listening again. Until then, the world will keep breathing slowly. The soil will keep its secrets. And somewhere beneath it all, mushrooms will continue their patient work as you drift gently into sleep.